Hi, I'm Dee. I'm the creator of the Magic Lab, a highly rated shop on Etsy where I craft self-empowerment tools for the modern mystic. Here on this channel, I explore the real working practices of magic, energy work, and intentional living. You'll find discussion around the art of spellwork, ritual, and manifestation, not just the theory, but the real techniques that turn intention, thought, and emotion into tangible results. Whether you're a beginner or you have years of practice behind you, the Magic Lab is a space for learning, experimenting, and going deep into your own power. So if that sounds like your vibe and you like what you hear today, don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram at the Magic Lab. I have all of the links available in the description, and you can also check out the tools that I create there. In today's video, I want to talk about the Road Opener spell. At its core, the Road Opener spell is a powerful traditional spell used to remove blockages and create new opportunities in your life. It's often used when you're feeling stuck, stagnant, or unsure of your next steps. But what's not often discussed is what kind of roads can actually be opened. Most Road Opener spells you'll find online are pretty general. They're taking a one-size-fits-all approach, and the methodology used doesn't take into account what you're actually trying to achieve because it's meant to be used by anyone who comes across it. But when you take the time to dig in a little bit deeper into what you really need from this kind of work, you'll often find that you're looking for something much more specific. Even if you're just feeling stuck without knowing exactly why, it helps to understand that not all blockages are the same. We all face different kinds of obstacles depending upon where we are in life. So that's why today I want to break down the Road Opener spell a little bit more intentionally. In this video, I'm going to cover three things. Number one, we're going to talk about the different types of quote-unquote roads that can be opened through a road opening spell. Two, how to recognize which particular roads are blocked in your own life. And three, how to craft a more focused road opener spell that is tailored to addressing those specific blockages. Now, this doesn't mean that a general road opener spell that you find on the internet won't work. They absolutely can and do work. But when we become more specific and intentional with our energy, when we customize our work for our unique situations, we often get clearer, faster, and more powerful results. Because remember, what we're trying to do here is take our manifestation or magic practices beyond the basics. We're trying to get very detailed and very clear about what it is that we want. We're not casting blindly anymore. If you don't define the outcome, the system can't respond. Unclear intentions means unclear results. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to discuss the different types of roads that you can address in your spiritual life, or in this case, the Road Opener spell. There are 5 areas that our lives can be organized or categorized into. We have the material, relational, mental, emotional, and spiritual. The material road refers to our physical environment and the resources that we have access to. This would include our home, our jobs, the paychecks that we receive, our possessions, and our relationship to those things. The relational road refers to all things pertaining to your relationships, be that family, friends, community, or society at large. The mental road is your inner dialogue. It's the way you speak to yourself, your thought patterns, which is often its own reality in and of itself and can be very impactful to us in good ways and bad. There's the emotional road, which is your psychological state. It's the sum total of your life experiences and their impact on your heart, trauma, wounds, and healing. And then there's the spiritual road, which you can think of as your soul's journey. It's your path to self-actualization and your relationship to a higher order of things or your higher self. So these are the 5 roads that we will be going into in more depth. So let's start with the material road, which again refers to our physical environment and our tangible resources. How do you know if you have obstacles in the material pathway of your life? And if you want, pause the video and just take a moment to look around the room that you're in right now and take note. How do you feel physically about the space that you're in right now? Does it represent wellness for you? How are you feeling right now in this moment about your environment? Also think about, what are the first few thoughts that you have when you wake up in the morning? How do you generally feel about where you are and what you need to do that day? The thoughts and the emotions that come up reside in your material road, and some signs that your material road may need clearing or work include a cluttered environment, having a space that is unorganized and doesn't make you feel good or gives you anxiety. Lack of self-care. Do you experience guilt over the way you treat your body, your personal space, your belongings, your me time? Are you ignoring health issues? Are you running yourself to the point of exhaustion and not taking time to be kind to your physical body? Job issues, including stagnation, feeling unable to advance, not being paid your worth, not knowing what it is you truly want to do in life, or feeling stuck or unhappy at work. Living paycheck to paycheck would be another sign. Even if you're making a decent wage, but you still don't have enough left over at the end of the month, or you have issues with budgeting, lack of control over your finances. Another one would be scarcity mindset. Are you living in constant fear of losing what you do have? Does it feel like regardless of what you have, it's not enough or it could go away at any moment? Self-sabotage. Do you purposely or unconsciously block your growth in any of these areas? If you are stopping yourself from doing things that you know deep down you'd be pretty successful at, but somehow you just can't ever find the time or the energy to do it, that's a sign of self-sabotage. Another one would be if you have time and energy to pour into other people's things, other people's projects, their dreams, their ideas. But when it's time to do the same for you, suddenly you're too tired, you're out of time, there's not enough money, or it just sounds like a silly idea. That may be a sign that you're unintentionally blocking yourself from success. Another sign that you need some work on your material road would be imposter syndrome, which is actually pretty closely related to self-sabotage. One big reason that people self-sabotage is because they feel like an imposter inside. They feel like they're faking it or like they're even defrauding their customers or clients, even if the quality of the work that they produce is really good. If you have imposter syndrome, you'll have this ever-present worry that what you're doing is not good enough and that you're even doing wrong by the people around you because they don't see what, this supposed fraud you are. This fear of not being genuinely qualified stops a lot of people from pursuing their dreams because they feel like they're taking up space that they haven't truly earned and that they're not deserving of. And this is all independent of the actual quality of work. It's this feeling inside that you're not deserving of the success that you do have. So all of these here are examples of blockages in your material road. So when we go back to the concept of a road opening spell, if you find that the road that you want to open is the material, how can you adapt a typical road opening spell to better target that realm? So that leads us to the next portion of this discussion. How do you craft this spell to be specific to the road that needs work? So let's say you finish this video and you've determined that out of all the different roads we've discussed, it's your material road that you really want to focus on. On the screen here, I have an example of a road opening spell that would target the material road. Now, feel free to screenshot this. I will also have a link in the description that has this in a format on my blog that you can print out. I recommend that you take this spell as a starting point and customize it for your own needs if you feel so led. This spell involves working during a waxing moon, applying a very intentionally made wash, and cleaning your home from top to bottom. You can use a customized Florida water, or you can make your own with herbs like bay leaf, ginger, cinnamon, highdrawn root. You can even add in some road opener oil into this wash. I have one on my shop that I make that I'll also link in the description. But again, any road opener or road opener ingredients will work. Now, I really want you to put some extra time into making this wash. Don't simply buy a bottle of Florida water and call it a day. I want you to put a little bit of time and energy into making this wash your own. In particular, I want you to add some coins to this wash. if you can, make these coins special or significant in some way. So not simply a bunch of quarters, but add in some 50-cent coins or dollar coins. That's even better. Something that's special or unique or not everyday about these coins. But it's important that they're able to be spendable in your country, so don't get a rare antique coin that is no longer in use anywhere. All right, so you've got your wash made. You drop the coins in, and now you're going to apply this wash to everything, including floors, thresholds, windows. Pay special attention to your doors and your entryways. As you clean those doors and entryways, I want you to knock on those doors 3 times each and say a mantra as you clean. You can make up your own mantra. I highly encourage you to, but if you can't come up with the words, the one I have here is opportunity enter, money move, work flow. I'm going to repeat that 3 times and adjust it in any way that you need. Now, once you're done with washing, you're going to take the coins that were inside the wash and you're going to place them in a bowl near a yellow or an orange candle. You can also use green or white if you don't have yellow or orange. It can even be a small tea light if you want. You're going to inscribe the candle with any message that you need, or you can write a petition on a piece of paper if that's more your jam. Again, I don't like to be too prescriptive. I like to leave things open for people to work things in the way that feels natural to them. But in general, what you're trying to do here is you're burning a candle and you're making use of those coins next to the candle. The next day, and this is really the activation portion of your spell, you're going to take those coins after the candle has been burned and you're going to spend those coins somewhere intentionally. Now, by intentionally, I mean spend them in a place or manner that is significant to the intention of your spell. An example would be if you're job hunting for something better, you might go spend those coins at a cafe for a cup of coffee while you sit and job hunt for the morning. Or if you're starting a business, you might go spend the coins at a local small business that reflects the goal that you're trying to reach. Or maybe you spend it at a museum or a space that makes you feel inspired. Or maybe you can use them to tip a street performer for an energetic exchange of creativity. But essentially, you want to align the use and the spending of these coins with the kind of opportunity that you're trying to open. So take this spell, make it your own, tweak it as you need. My email is also in the description. You're welcome to contact me if you have any questions or if anything's unclear. Next up, we'll talk about the relational road. Moving on to the relational or the relationship road. Again, it deals with all things pertaining to our relationships. That could be family, friends, community, or society at large. Some ways to identify if we have blocks or obstacles to overcome in this area of life is to ask ourselves, how do we feel about each of these words? What emotions or beliefs are present when you hear the words family, friends, mom, dad, partner, society, neighbor, stranger, etc.? How do those words make you feel? Are they bringing up positive or uncomfortable feelings? Some ways to tell if you've got some work to do in this area of your life would be, if you struggle with themes around attachment or abandonment wounds, that would be a sign of a relational block. Having weak boundaries where you have difficulty saying no to things or advocating for yourself, or struggling with people-pleasing behaviors would be another sign that you need to work on your relational road. Lots of unresolved conflicts would be another sign. That may look like not being able to have uncomfortable conversations about conflict and letting things lie until they become something bigger. Now, on the surface, it may just feel like you're just being easygoing, but over time, it'll compound into something that feels too big to tackle. Fear of vulnerability is another sign. It's an inability to go deeper or get closer with others, even when you really want to. You might feel like you're hitting a wall, or as you start to approach the point of being vulnerable with someone, you may disassociate or feel like that part of yourself is being erased and is inaccessible even to yourself. Trust issues, which also ties into fear of vulnerability, is when you have suspicion of other people's motives to the point that you feel like there's nobody in your corner. Overgiving is another sign, and this is very closely related with weak boundaries, but I do like to explain similar terms with similar concepts with different terms because some people may identify with one definition versus another. Another sign would be generational traumas. Now, a lot of people are starting to become more cognizant of their familiar patterns that they are unconsciously playing out. If you examine your family history, that of your parents, their parents, and even their parents, if you can trace things back that far, you may discover that there's a cycle that keeps getting played out over and over and over. A common one for some families may be physical abuse in the home, in which the child witnesses abuse play out between their parents, and then they later, in their own relationships, become either the abused or the abuser, which is then witnessed by their children, and so on and so forth. Another example of a generational trauma would be addiction. And this is not always necessarily watching someone be addicted. It can be a genetic generational trauma. But if we are aware of the patterns that are playing out within our family tree, we can be more cognizant of where our behaviors are coming from. Another sign that we need work on our relational road in life would be a feeling of alienation and isolation. And I think this is something a lot of us feel to some extent, especially with this hyper-atomized, hyper-digital, and individualistic world that we've created. It's very, very common to feel a lack of belonging and like you're an outsider looking in or stuck inside your house looking out at everybody else having fun. It reminds me of this very popular SpongeBob meme. And if these feelings are affecting the way that you move through life or how you experience contact with other people in the real world, that's a big problem. And that's something that can completely reshape your life experience. Now, if any of these resonate with you and you've identified that you want to open roads in the relational area of your life, here on the screen is an example of a road opening spell that targets the relational road and opens opportunities and pathways within. So again, you can go ahead and pause or screenshot. I will have a link in the description to a full blog post that you can print out with all of these spells written out for you. But as a brief overview, this spell involves each day for 7 days placing items, photos, and things that represent people of your choosing into a jar. So every single day for 7 days, you're going to set aside some time to think about people in your life or people that you want to bring into your life, how you can represent them with physical objects, and you're going to place them into a jar. If you're familiar with a honey jar spell, it's kind of a play on that. Instead of romance, we're just thinking of people and representations of people in our life. So every day for 7 days, at the 7-day mark, you're going to seal the jar. You're going to place an anointed and inscribed candle on top, burn it to completion, and then you're going to keep that jar on a threshold, an altar, or someplace where you can see it. It's not meant to be hidden. It's meant to be in a location where you can casually pass it or see it or be reminded of it. Now, the reason I think this type of spell works, especially for relationships, is that it involves intuitive work over the course of 7 days. Whoever comes to your mind in any of those relational categories, whether it's family, friends, coworkers, strangers, community, people that you don't know exist yet, any of these relational categories, you focus on those people for 1 day. And even if your relationship with those people or that group of people is marked by tension or discord, simply the act of adding them and positive items you associate with them into this jar of community, it's placing you mentally into a place of abundance and positivity and warmth with this group of people. So think of it like you're creating a community in a jar. It puts you into a place of possibility. It puts you into your desired end result with this group of people. And a big reason spells work is because what we're doing is we're essentially manipulating our minds to experience the end result of what we're looking for. And so I think this spell that's what this spell aims to do. And I want to just pause here for a second and just remind you that when I use the word spell, it's interchangeable. You can swap out the word spell for intentional work, for manifestation work, for mindfulness. It's really all the same thing. It's all about harnessing energy into your life and focusing on the results that you want. But I tend to use the word spell. Next up, let's talk about the mental road and how, if you have issues in your mental road of life, what are some road opening spells you can do to tackle and open up opportunities in the mental area of your life. So again, the mental pathway, it deals with our inner dialogue. It deals with the way that we speak to ourselves, our thought patterns, that inner voice that carries us throughout the day. This is an entirely separate yet controllable layer that we add onto our existing reality. So think about when you are in good spirits and you're speaking well to yourself, you're sending yourself positive messages. Notice how everything in your life seems brighter, easier, more fun. I mean, this is essentially what having a good day is, right? Things are going smoothly, you're happy, you're speaking in a positive way in your mind. That's, when your mental is on the up and up and things are going well, that is what creates a good day. Conversely, the moment we slip into negative thought patterns, when we start speaking to ourselves in a frustrated manner, oh, I'm so stupid. Why did I say that? I can't do anything right. Oh, here we go again. Suddenly things become much more difficult to maneuver through when we add in this layer of negativity on top of what is already going on around us. So think of this mental road as this entirely separate layer that your brain, your inner dialogue adds on to your day-to-day life. And it can switch on a dime. I can think of days that I've had things were going fine, and then there's just one incident happens, and suddenly my inner dialogue shifts towards a negative slant, and the rest of the day is in shambles. So it is a controllable layer. We can add on a layer of positivity or negativity onto our life. And it's not about being unrealistic. It's just about how we're framing things. So some signs that we need road opening work in our mental realm would include negative thought patterns and internal dialogue. If you're constantly speaking to yourself in a negative way or seeing the negative, the glass half empty, that is a sign that you need to work on your mental road. Another sign would be fear-based thinking, which is when your thoughts and your decisions are mostly driven by fear instead of logic, facts, or competence. So instead of thinking, what's the best thing that could happen? You think, what if everything goes wrong? Catastrophizing is a type of fear-based thinking. It's turning what may be a small issue into a huge problem. A very common example of this would be not receiving a reply to a text message in the time frame that you were hoping for, and then spiraling into conclusions like, this person doesn't like me, there was someone else, they blocked me, they hate me, they want to see me suffer. Meanwhile, that person has been busy and genuinely hasn't had a chance to read or respond. But with this catastrophic thinking pattern, you're prone to make decisions that destroy the stability in your life based on false assumptions. Brain fog would be another sign that you need work on your mental road. It is a term used to describe a feeling of mental cloudiness. You might feel confused, forgetful, unfocused, or mentally slow. It's not a medical condition on its own, but usually a symptom of something else that can be a medical condition, but sometimes not. The difficulty with brain fog is that it can slow your functioning and dull your senses to the point that it's difficult to understand why you're in that state or how to get out. Indecision has many causes, but in general, it's the lack of ability to make a decision, whether it's through anxiety, analysis paralysis, which is overanalyzing, or fear of making the wrong choice. When you're caught in a pattern of indecision, it contributes to stagnation in your life. It can be a primary factor for avoidance patterns. So if these signs resonate with you, here on the screen, I have a mental focused road opening spell. I've chosen this spell because of its focus on using the spoken word or mantras as the activator or the catalyst for the outcome that you're seeking. Speaking something out loud and also hearing it at the same time, it reinforces its meaning in your brain. This multisensory engagement amplifies your neural processing and it deepens your brain's connection to the words that you're speaking. The brain treats words as action, and repeating something over and over out loud alters your internal state. So in this way, you can think of the voice as an engine of belief and transformation. So for this spell, with a 7-day candle, a small handheld mirror, and any kind of cleansing tool that you like, that can be a smudge stick, some cleansing spray, anything you want, and then a road opening oil. First, you're going to cleanse the mirror, anoint the edges of the mirror with the road opening oil, and every morning or evening, whichever is your preference, you're going to light an orange or yellow 7-day candle, hold the mirror, look into it, and you're going to repeat a mantra. Now, I'm purposely not going to give you a mantra here because a core part of this spell is engaging your mind and your subconscious to generate this for you. Don't overthink it. Just write a few words or sentences that you can repeat over and over for 7 days. There is no wrong answer here. As long as you speak these words, they come from you. And while you're speaking them, visualize a portal or an opening in your mind and you stepping through it as you're repeating this mantra that you've come up with. After 7 days of this, on day 7, you're going to bury or cover the candle and the mirror in a safe place until you need it again for another breakthrough. And you're going to repeat this every so often. Make it a part of your routine. It doesn't have to be every day indefinitely, but for 7 days at a time when you need to break through this mental block that you have, pull it out and repeat the same cycle. So now we move to the emotional road, which encapsulates your psychological state. It's the sum total of your life experiences and their impact on your heart, trauma, wounds, and your healing state. You can also think of this as the sum total of your lived experience over the course of months or years. Think of it like this. If you had to describe how you've been feeling and functioning over the past few years, it's likely that the words you'd use to describe that stretch of time are going to refer to your overall emotional state, the imprint that life is leaving on you, and the emotional patterns that have colored your life experience. Some signs that you may need clearing on your emotional road would include shame and guilt. Shame refers to how we see ourselves, and guilt refers to how we see our actions. If you look back on the road leading up to where you are today and you feel shame about who you are as a person or guilt about the things that you have done, and there doesn't even need to be a specific reason for this guilt or shame. Sometimes we're just conditioned to harbor these feelings about ourselves. It's a big indicator that our emotional road needs work. Numbness or repressed emotions. One way to identify if this is what you're going through is if life feels very bland, neutral, blah, boring, even if there's a lot going on. You're not experiencing the normal highs and lows of life, and instead you're just flatlining. You may feel like you're not allowed or entitled to feel strong emotions about things. Or feeling the feelings may go against what you think is reasonable. Also, if you're constantly busy or distracted with things, yet you feel this invisible sense of emotional clutter building up around you, that's another sign of emotional repression. You may not feel the feelings, but they are around you in some form or fashion. Even if you're avoiding them, you're still aware of their presence. Another sign would be repeating patterns. When you look back to your past, can you identify patterns within yourself or your life that really stick out to you as not being positive? Unprocessed grief or trauma. Now, processing grief, loss, or trauma, it looks different for everyone. And no, it doesn't have to involve crying, sadness, or feeling down. Sometimes it shows up as numbness, irritability, overproductivity, emotional detachment. That's why it can be tricky to recognize when you're carrying unprocessed grief. However, if you've been through an event that you'd consider painful or significant for someone else, but when it happens to you, you just kept going, it's worth asking yourself if you've truly moved through the experience or simply moved on from it. So if you've determined that you need to open roads in the emotional area of your life, for the emotionally focused road opening spell, I've chosen one that involves writing petitions over the course of 3 to 7 days. If you're not sure what a petition is, it's essentially a written request or intention. It's essentially to write out specifically what you're asking for or what you're trying to manifest. Now, this spell that I'm going to recommend, it does involve a lot of writing. If you hate writing or if writing sounds like a chore, my recommendation would be to set a timer for 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Commit to at least that amount of time, and then you're free to put your writing utensil down as soon as that timer goes off if you want to. But each day, for 3 to 7 days, you're going to choose from one of the following words in this word bank: shame, grief, regret, anger, love, peace, joy, confusion, loss, and you can add your own words to this word bank if you like. Now, in those 2 minutes and 37 seconds, on a piece of petition paper, you're going to write nonstop whatever comes to mind for that one word that you've chosen for that day. When you're finished writing, you're going to anoint a yellow or an orange candle, anointed with a road opening oil. You can also inscribe the candle beforehand. You're going to take the paper that you've written on and you're going to place it either underneath or next to the candle as it burns. Now, you can always, like I said, adjust these as you need. This does not have to be followed to the letter. It's just the overall idea. Now, on the last day, when you anoint and light the candle, you're going to reread all of these pages that you've written. As you read, you're going to cross out and write over in bold ink, "I am free, I open myself to peace," or something similar. Then you're going to burn the pages in a fire-safe dish, and then you're going to blow the ashes into the direction of east. East in magic represents the element of air. It represents thought, communication, intellect, clarity, and inspiration. However, if you'd like, you can go look up what the meanings are for the other directions. And if there's one that resonates more for your intention, use that as well. But be intentional about it is what I'm saying. Have a reason for doing every step of what you're doing in this type of work. Lastly, we discussed the spiritual road, which is your soul's journey. It's your path to self-actualization, and it's your relationship to a higher order of things or your higher self. If you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy, which I can link in the description, the spiritual realm would be represented by the highest rung of this ladder, which is the portion at which we can focus on self-actualizing, coming to a more complete understanding of ourselves, a higher connection, a higher awareness, and a higher purpose. Some telltale signs that you need to focus on the spiritual self when doing road opening work would include lack of purpose, feeling directionless or uncertain about why you're here or what your life is meant to contribute. For example, you may dread waking up in the morning, feeling like you're just going through the motions without a deeper why. I think a lot of us have had moments of, what is this all for? But if that's a thought that plagues you and it's constantly in the back of your mind, that's a big sign that you don't have a purpose. You don't know what your purpose is. Identity crisis, struggling with who you are at a core level or feeling fragmented or undefined. This might show up if you are constantly shifting your values, your appearance, or your goals to match your surroundings or the people around you. Without anything to ground you or your value system, you may feel like you don't have an identity at all. Lowered intuition, which is difficulty sensing your inner guidance, your gut feelings, or spiritual signs. You may feel like you used to just know what to do or to sense energy more clearly, but now everything feels muted or indecisive. Disconnection from self, which is very closely related to lowered intuition. This involves feeling numb, empty, or like a stranger to your own inner world. This can look like zoning out during activities that you used to love, or feeling off in your own body but not knowing why. If time just slides by you and you wake up years later wondering where the heck time has gone, you may be going through life disconnected from yourself. A loss of faith, which is a weakening belief in something greater, whether that's God, the universe, spirit, ancestors, your own inner light, or even just a sense of optimism and like there's an order to the world. You might feel abandoned or that spiritual practices no longer resonate or work. General resistance in life. It's a sense that no matter how much effort or intention that you put in, things just don't seem to work out. You may feel like doors keep closing. prayers are unanswered, rituals or magical practices that you're trying to undergo, they just don't take. It may feel like there's just no synchronicity or magic in your life. It might feel like every step forward is met with unexpected pushback or stagnation. It's almost like something is keeping your path spiritually jammed. If any or all of these resonate with you and you've determined that you want to do some work on opening your spiritual road, here is a spiritually focused road opening spell displayed on the screen. I've chosen this one because it works through the dream realm, which is where spirit, higher self, and the subconscious meet. This practice, it invites guidance, it reveals hidden blockages, and it opens new spiritual insight through nightly messages. So each night, for 7 nights, you're going to anoint your forehead and your third eye or crown, whichever you prefer, chakra, with both road opening oil and a dream oil or a third eye oil. I have a few listed in the description if you need some recommendations on this. But as you do this, right before you go to bed, you're going to sit quietly for a moment. You're going to ask a question out loud or silently, and it's going to be something very simple like, what's blocking me spiritually? What messages do I need to receive? You're going to go to sleep as usual, and then trust that your spirit, your guide, your subconscious, God, your higher knowing, whichever you believe in, will meet you halfway. Now, as soon as you wake up, you're going to log your dreams, no matter how fragmented, no matter how weird, symbolic, or strange. You must do this as soon as you wake up. And so for this reason, I recommend you keep a notepad or a sticky note or something right by your bed. Even if you wake up in the middle of the night from a very, very strange dream, wake up and just write it down, even if it's just a few keywords, because what's going to happen is it's not going to sink into your long-term memory. It's going to slip out. And by the time you wake up, you will likely have forgotten all of those dreams and lost those messages. So it is crucial to make it a very strict habit to document your dreams as soon as you have them, before you lose them. I mean, within 20 seconds. That's how quickly they can slip from your memory. And I understand that sometimes when we first wake up, it's hard to remember all of this stuff. So another trick you might want to try, which has worked well for me, is to keep a voice journal. So as soon as I wake up, I don't want to, get my notebook and start writing. I just record a quick voice memo, and it doesn't have to make sense. Just get the keywords in there, and your brain will hang on to the core details of that memory, of that dream. And they don't have to make sense. Don't analyze it first, just record. After a few days, you may begin to notice patterns, symbols, or intuitive nudges revealing the path forward. But think of these dreams in the context of the question or the statement that you made before you went to bed, because in a way, these dreams are going to be an answer or a revelation or related to what you were putting out into the universe as a question before you went to bed. I really, really love working in the dream world. Sleep, it's a liminal space. Dreams are doorways. And when you're dreaming, you're giving yourself permission to receive instead of control. You're allowing the universe, spirit, God, to speak on its terms. And that alone is a powerful act of spiritual opening. All right, so that covers today's video. We looked at all of the different types of roads or areas of your life that can be opened through a road opening spell. We also looked at how to recognize which roads in your life need more work. And we also looked at a few examples of spells, road opening spells that were specifically crafted to target that road. Again, please check the description. I have linked a blog post that will give you all of the information in written format so that you can print it out and adjust these different spells as you need. I also have a few product recommendations if you need some guidance in that area as well. And remember, the point here is to take our magic or manifestation, our spiritual practices to the next level. We're trying to go deeper. We're trying to get more specific. We're trying to get more intentional for clearer results. And of course, if you have any questions about any of the content in today's video, you are more than welcome to reach out to me. My contact info is also in the description. This channel is a space for learning, for experimenting, for theory, for just figuring out things as we go. So if this is your vibe, please like and subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, and you can also check out my shop on Etsy. All of that information is also in the description below. And thank you for watching.